and as a result, they become motivated and they find reading easier also. There are also other reasons to use technology. Our world has become very, very technology-oriented, and students generally are much more adept at using technology today. So when teachers use technology, they allow students to remain connected to the world that they live in. Also, many organizations like the IRA, for example, have standards which require teachers to use technology. So when teachers use multimodal ebooks, they are adhering to some of these new standards as well. All right, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to explore a few multimodal ebooks, and then later on I'm going to explain how I selected these and give you ideas on how you can make good selections. The ones that we are going to look at, I found from the Children's Book Council. They have a website, and I selected the following 3 books from their website because the website has a bunch of recommended books which are known for their quality. So the ones that I selected for today, and we're going to see a short clip of each of them, 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to break you up into groups to work with a partner and jot down some of the advantages and possible disadvantages. And then I'd like to hear a few of your answers, and then we can go on and I can share the latest research. Okay, so in that case, we can have a little discussion. I'd like to have you share some of your answers, and then I can share with you what the research says about these technological tools. So did anybody come up with an advantage or a way that you believe these books can be beneficial to students that you'd like to share? All right, I see a hand up all the way in the back. You're going to have to speak really loud because I have a microphone and you don't. Absolutely, and that's what some of the research found, that the immediate feedback that you can get regarding words and their meaning is definitely an advantage. All right, how about one more advantage? Anybody find something else that you'd like to share? All right, in that case, let's talk about disadvantages. Did anybody see something that might be a problem regarding the use of these ebooks? Oh, okay, I see 2 hands up, so let's take one answer from back there, and then we'll move on to this answer over here. How did you feel that they have potential to be disadvantageous?
Well, how do you know if the kid's reading or watching books?
Exactly, absolutely. So some of the features, we don't know whether children are connecting them to the story. And there has been research that has supported that, that problem, that the hotspots is what they're called, can be distracting. All right, I saw another hand up here for a disadvantage.
Some kids can't keep up.
When
it's read by maybe a professional, a fast kid.
Okay, some kids may not be able to keep up. And that leads to an important topic that I'm just going to talk about right now regarding how educators should select them, because they need to be age appropriate. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Any other answers before I share what the latest research indicates about these ebooks? Okay, so let me go ahead and share with you what the latest research indicates regarding benefits and possible disadvantages with the use of these ebooks. First of all, the scaffolding that we saw, one of you mentioned that regarding how you can tap a word and get its meaning. This is beneficial. Instructors who use these books are able to provide the support that children with reading difficulties need. So they definitely can be advantageous because they do provide this support. They also promote literacy development by providing young learners with guidance through the use of additional text tools. The images, for example, can be very beneficial. Lassina and Matthews indicate that when instructors allow children to use some of the text tools on multimodal ebooks, they tend to improve in reading comprehension by getting help with pronunciation, by getting help with vocabulary, and also narration. So there have been quite a few studies done, and some of them found positive things about the ebooks, and there have also been some studies which found negative effects. Matthew, for example, compared comprehension levels between students who read a print text and those who read the electronic version, and found that the pupils who used the electronic version had significantly higher comprehension scores. So there have been studies that found that students made positive gains. Newman notes that children at risk for reading disabilities tend to improve when exposed to more forms of media, such as computers, television, and radio, in addition to printed text. So teachers don't necessarily have to use ebooks, they can use other technological devices that serve the same purpose. Shamir and Schlafer concluded from their study that children at risk for learning disabilities made good progress in reading skills following exposure to well-designed ebooks despite their developmental disorders. Shamir and Baruch found that the use of one ebook improved the vocabulary and early math skills of 52 preschoolers at risk for learning disabilities. So there are definitely some studies out there that indicate that when students use well-designed books, that they make improvements in reading. Pearman found that when teachers have access to sound effects, did I say teachers? I meant readers. That when students have access to sound effects, they frequently improve their comprehension as a consequence of having a better understanding of the action and mood of a story. There is a little passage in her paper which talks about how a student was better able to understand a segment from a book based on the sound that she or he heard. She also found significantly higher comprehension scores with second graders who read electronic texts and more student engagement with the electronic text than with the print version. So they tend to be motivating. The question is, are they motivating students to make academic gains regarding reading improvement, or are they just interested in the images and video, and are they distracting students rather than helping make them make academic gains? So now I'm going to focus on the distracting features and how they can lead students to rather make gains, become distracted from the story. So these are pretty much the same text tools. If these text tools, which are called hotspots, which are the ones that students click on to get more information, if they're not well designed, they can distract students, and as a result, students are going to learn less than when using a print book. And this is what is discussed in Shamir and Korat's paper, that the hotspots which students activate to activate the video, for example, can be poorly designed, and as a result, students don't make academic gains. Also, students can overuse them, and instead of focusing on the story, just keep playing with the hotspots. So once again, this is likely to lead to negative consequences. There has also been a study that found the same thing. DeHong and Buss reported that kindergarten's understanding of a story was stronger when an adult read the book rather than when children use the electronic version, and they hypothesized that the children lost focus of the story as a result of the distracting pictures in the electronic versions. So there are studies that show that students make academic gains, and there are also some that show that they can lead to negative consequences. So the research seems to be mixed. There are also other disadvantages. Even if teachers provide students with well-designed ebooks, if they are overused, it can lead to other disadvantages, which I'm about to discuss right now. Children can become dependent on the ebooks, and when this occurs, they are likely to make fewer attempts at decoding unfamiliar words or sentences on their own. We want children to think critically. We want them to be able to figure out meanings of words on their own. These are important reading strategies that students need to learn. However, if students always rely on an ebook, they are not going to learn these important strategies. So the ebooks are great, and they can definitely improve reading in many ways. However, if students rely on them, it can lead to overdependency, and it can also lead them to not develop these important literacy skills that they need to develop, such as context clues, for example. If students read a passage and they don't know a particular word, they should be able to make an educated guess by looking at the surrounding words. However, if they always rely on an ebook, they are not going to develop this important strategy. Lefevre, Davis, and Pearman argue that overdependency on ebooks can lead children to stop taking risks, thereby leading them to constantly rely on electronic guidance for the same words. This phenomenon is a form of learned helplessness, affecting students in a similar manner to teachers holding low expectations of some learners, and hinders pupils from putting forth their maximum effort. So good teachers need to push students part of the time, and if they over-rely on these ebooks, children will not develop these important skills that they need to. So the question is, how can teachers use these multi-ebooks effectively? Well, one strategy is to combine them with other reading strategies. For example, doing read alouds part of the time and combining it with an ebook. So teachers, therefore, should combine interactive ebooks with substantiated research-based strategies to teach reading in order to help students make the most academic gains. King, Sears, and Evmenova remind educators that although some software is well designed and is more advantageous than poorly designed software, these resources are not nearly as important as how instructors use them. So one strategy, as I mentioned, is combining ebooks with print books. As a matter of fact, there was a research paper that I recently read that indicates that this can be a very, very good strategy. Guernsey, for example, describes something that happened regarding this strategy. She talks in a recent research paper how a literacy coach first saw several boys enjoying a narrated ebook of Doreen Cronin's Diary of a Worm, and then she announced that she had gotten a copy of the print book, and the children became very, very motivated, and they rushed over to the print book and started exploring it. So this is one strategy for using the ebooks that will likely lead children to be more motivated. All right, and now in this section of my presentation, I want to give you ideas on selecting good ebooks because they're not all created equal. Some of them can have distracting features, as we discussed. Some of them could have other problems like words being highlighted at a very at a very fast rate so that students can't keep up. One of the organizations that I recommend is the Children's Book Council. Earlier I mentioned that the 3 ebooks that I selected that I got from this organization. The CB has a website and a link called the New and Digital, which gives information on electronic books. These are available as ebook apps. Today, these ebooks are available in various formats. They are available as ebook apps,